Welcome to the Oddity Shop, where the bizarre is always on sale.
All right, oddballs, welcome back to the Oddity Shop for a little Halloween special.
'Cause this is Halloween.
I have only heard her sing that 3-second clip about 1,000 times already.
It's a good one.
It is a good one, but it is also our favorite day of the year.
True. So, are you ready?
I'm ready. What are we talking about today?
Well, today, because it's Halloween when we're listening, or when this comes out, we're talking about demons.
Demons? I had no idea, and definitely don't also have a demon story planned today.
Yes. So, I'm just gonna throw out a little disclaimer. So first off, if you're listening, I'm sure you operate similar to Zach and I. I'm sure you indulge in a lot of heavy topics. I want to make sure that along with all the weird and disturbing that we're taking in light, something fun, something not dark and creepy. The mind is a powerful thing, and we know that thoughts can become reality. With that being said, my topic is going to be bringing attention and thought to something negative, a demon. I'm going to speak its name as little as possible, and I'll abbreviate. I just want to be cautious for all of us. Now that that's out of the way, today in the shop, we are talking about Zozo, the Ouija board demon.
I am so ready. All right, hit me with it.
Okay. Have you heard of Zozo?
I have. I kind of love demonology a little bit, right? So like anything to do with the Warrens or like the history of Ouija board or all of that realm. It excites me more than it should, right? Because it is one of those things you shouldn't give too much power to.
Exactly.
But it's also so interesting.
Right. Okay, so let's start with Ouija boards. Not a soul that exists hasn't heard of a Ouija board. If somehow you missed the memo, a Ouija board, otherwise known as a spirit board, is a rectangle board with yes in the top corner, left corner, and no in the top right. In the center, it has the entire alphabet arched across, and under are the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 0.
All right, I didn't even know you could count that high. I'm impressed already.
Below is the word goodbye, like I should be saying to you. Okay, so the point of the board is for you to use this while conducting a seance to let spirits communicate with you while spelling out their responses. Another key piece that goes along with this is a planchette. A planchette is a wood or plastic, almost heart-shaped device with a hole to peer through. Is that a good description?
I think so. I'm picturing it in my head.
Okay, good. Because I was thinking about this, like everyone knows what this is, but if you don't, I was kind of stumped on how to describe it, but I think that's...
I mean, if they don't know what that is, they've probably already turned this episode off from the disclaimer, let's be honest.
You can Google it. Okay, so when you ask the spirit a question, the idea is that the spirit will help you guide your fingers over the letters or numbers that make the answer. So you're going to put your fingers on that planchette, you're going to ask a question, put your energy into it, think about it, and it's just going to guide your fingers across the board.
Have you ever played with a Ouija board?
No, because my mom pretty much threatened murder if I did.
I could definitely see Lynn doing that. That would be enough to scare me from...
I mean, she grew up in very, very haunted houses and like really horrible experiences that she still doesn't talk about to this day. So when she tells me not to touch something, I'm not doing it.
Then you have my parents who bought me a Milton Bradley glow-in-the-dark Ouija board that we played with in their house to some not so great results.
So this is a complete side note, but when I was writing this and you asking me that just brought this to my mind. My brother and I, when we were younger, I want to say probably it had to have been like elementary school. Maybe I was in middle school. Kyle was still in elementary school. I don't remember, but one of our friends, I don't know why, but because we're children and weird, we were climbing up on a ladder into the, attic that was in their garage. So it was in the garage. We're climbing up this ladder to go into the attic of the garage, and it was completely empty and like creepy because it's freaking attic in a garage. And there was just a single Ouija board in there.
Oh, the previous owners were definitely playing with you.
Yeah, but when you're a child, When you're a child and you see that, it was the most terrifying thing. Also, when we were doing the construction on our kitchen, I so badly wanted to put like in the cabinets, like before we put the countertop on, I really wanted to put a fake skeleton in there.
I'm beyond shocked that you didn't.
Because Aaron wouldn't let me.
That tracks.
Anyway, so if at this point you don't know what I'm talking about, just pause, do your research, Google, all the things. In 1886, the fledgling Associated Press reported that they reported on camps in Ohio and how spiritualists were using a talking board to reach out to the dead. I have no idea what this board and the process were. At this point, it wasn't the way that a Ouija board is now, but this is just where it started. The article got a lot of attention. We know how this works. Going viral, as we call it now, means someone is going to capitalize on this. So bring in some investors and they patent the planchette and they start selling the board. The first sold variation was brought to you by Elijah Bond in 1890. Which, doesn't that seem crazy that in 1886, that's when the Ouija board or like the first spirit board was created?
I do believe that, right? Because like in-home seances were really big at that time, and like, you know, people going and talking to a mystic. I feel like,
I guess I just think of the board as being like
the glow-in-the-dark Milton Bradley board.
So the belief was not in the spirits or anything like that. The belief was in the money. So we fast forward and William Fuld takes over in 1901, manufacturing the boards under the name Ouija. It's unclear where Ouija came from. I've seen that it means yes, some say it means good luck, and some say it's the name of the first ghost that came through using the board. So I'm not really sure where the word Ouija board comes in. Maybe if you guys know or you found it, shout me out.
See, I feel like I've heard good luck before.
So have I. But I kind of like it being the first spirit that came through. Like, I kind of want to stick with that story because it sounds the coolest.
Fair enough. I mean, if he put in the original work, he deserves to have something to his name. Or she.
Mm-hmm. All right. So, at this point, we're going to refer to Zozo as Z, known for stalking through the Ouija board, which is absolutely terrifying.
I mean, if you're going to leave a legacy, stalking through a board that allows you to continue to talk to people after they die, or after you died, go for it.
I know, but think about, no. I'm just thinking about being stalked in general, but now you're being stalked because you started talking on a freaking board. That's crazy.
It's insane.
There are hundreds, probably thousands of harassment claims brought on by Z. So in 2009, Darren Evans got a lot of attention for his experiences with Z. He wrote all about it in the article on TrueGhostTales.com. This brings others to come forward about their terrifying tales of meeting Z. So we're going to focus on Darren for a little bit. He claims most times Z would pretend to be whoever Darren was actually trying to communicate. So if you're trying to talk to grandma, he pretends to be grandma for a while.
So he comes to originally like saying that he is grandma or whoever they're trying to talk to?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Darren explains that the spirit always has to make itself known, though, at some point. So, like, it just kind of tricks you for a little bit, pretends to be, like, whatever you want, and then will come forward.
Kind of like a vampire, how they have to get invited in.
Yes, exactly. So acting nice until switching to threatening and swearing at Darren and whoever else is with him. At this point, Darren becomes intrigued with how many appearances Z would have in his sessions. I'm just calling them sessions. I don't know what else to call them. Just kind of like what you were saying, like you're kind of intrigued by demonology. Like, you know, it's not cool, but like, hey.
Fair, but I feel like also if a demon started speaking to me through a spirit board, I'm probably not going to just be like, oh, what's on Z's mind this week?
Well, you just wait. All right. So Z would come forward no matter what board Darren used or which state he was in. I'm not sure if he's just traveling along and making everyone partake in his idiocracy, or if like he just happens to be traveling for work or something and just, I don't know why he would know that this happens in all different states with different boards. I'm not quite sure. It seems a little odd to me, but that's what he says.
Z's just telling him.
Yeah, right. Darren also mentions that Z would often comment on wanting to possess his girlfriends and take them to paradise. Again, I'm not entirely sure if Darren is just referring to his girlfriends over the years or if he just means like any female friends that he has with him. But either way, that's terrifying. According to Z, paradise is hell, as he spelled out when he was asked.
Not really the same definition I've heard of hell in the past, but hey, gotta sell it, right?
I guess to a demon it is. I also keep saying he, but I guess I don't really know what it is, so... This is where I'm also going to tell you that even if you don't play with a Ouija board and you keep referring to, or you keep speaking his name, he can actually stalk you that way too. So that's why I'm also not saying his name, because if we just keep talking about him, he could start stalking us.
Yeah, I don't want that.
All right. So if this isn't crazy enough, this is where it gets wild. I'm also going to insert my opinion. Like, why wouldn't I? But Darren is the biggest idiot. It's one thing. I mean, he's still alive, so he'd probably be listening to this at one point, but like, you're an idiot, Darren. I'm so sorry. It's one thing to have a fascination, but like, let's not involve other people. All right.
Wait, who was he involving?
I'm getting to it. So now, after Z has been particularly evil in this session, as Darren describes, he realizes his 1-year-old is about to drown in the bathtub.
I'm sorry, is he leaving his 1-year-old in the bathtub while he's playing with the spirit board?
Do you feel the most powerful and beautiful with the elements of the earth around you? Do you like one-of-a-kind jewelry? Do you sometimes feel like a woodland fairy? Me too. That's why I created Holly and Hemlock, a magical shop filled with handmade wooden jewelry and metaphysical tools. Come check out our enchanting wooden wares at www.hollyhemlock.com. And join us in honoring the magic and beauty of nature with each unique creation. That's www.hollyhemlock.com.
Well, her mother stepped away for a second. I'm just going to put this out here. Again, I guess this is going to be my other opinion. Mom is like bathing 1-year-old, and then we just got Darren over in the next room just like fucking around on a spirit board. So like, mom probably has to be like, walk away to go get a towel, like, oh, the towels or something. And I can imagine she's probably like, Darren, can you get a towel? And he's like, oh, I'm talking to the demon. So she walks away, and then he realizes that she's like about to drown. Basically, he kind of describes it as like the water was filling up and like her head was kind of like,
they left it with the water running?
So somehow the water got turned back on and the tub overflowed. So...
Okay, I have a little more faith in her now.
Yeah, no, she didn't leave the water on. It got turned on, whether the little baby did it or something happened. But he said that when he ran into the room, it was like she was like on her back almost, and only her mouth and nose were not covered with water. So she was literally about to drown.
Oh, man.
Okay. If that wasn't enough... The very next day, she was hospitalized for an unknown internal infection, not related to the bathtub.
Oh, great. Great. So we're going for the kid.
Mm-hmm. This results in a 14-day isolation while they tried to figure out what was wrong with her. Darren admits that he almost lost her, and he felt like this was a demonic attack.
Ushered in by Darren.
You're gonna lose it. At this time, Darren says his girlfriend maintained a trance-like state and that her personality changed from sweet to withdrawn. I guess I don't know, but like, I think that if I were a mother that almost let my child drown and then they're all like dying in the hospital, I probably wouldn't be so nice either.
Yeah, you're definitely not going to be like happy-go-lucky.
No.
Most pleasant attitude.
But Z did also say that he wanted to possess her, so it could be that too. I don't know.
I mean, he did basically admit to it, right? So there's at least some good correlation there.
Right. Darren's daughter is still in the hospital, yet he decides that it would be a great idea to ask the Ouija board what he should name his rock band. So I'm sorry, but I'm just thinking that if I'm a parent that's at home and I'm worried about my child who's in a 14-day isolation that I can't see and they don't know what's wrong with her and she already almost died the day prior, I'm not going to mess with the Ouija board to ask what I should name my rock band.
Why is the rock band even on your mind? This guy needs to get his priorities straight.
That's what you're going to keep continuing to lose your shit. I just really can't with him.
I can't either.
Anyway, the board spells out Iron Tongue, and he thinks this is a cool name for his rock band.
It's not even that metal, bro.
I don't know. Iron Tongue.
I hate it.
He thinks it's cool until This is so messed up. His daughter, you know, the one in the hospital? Yeah, her tongue becomes rock hard to the point of asphyxiation. Did I say that right? Yeah, asphyxiation.
Asphyxiation.
Asphyxiate. I knew I said it wrong.
You're
Say
so
it.
close. Asphyxiation.
Yeah, that. So this ends up distorting her face and resulting in her swollen tongue to only be able to hang out of her mouth. That's so disturbing. Picture that.
At least he had some album art he could use. Sorry, that's terrible.
I know, but a 1-year-old, can you imagine a little baby with her? Oh.
Nope. This guy's an idiot.
So on top of that, the family experienced your normal haunting symptoms, hearing voices, objects being thrown across the room, lights turning off and on, doors locking and unlocking, waking up feeling like you're being choked. You know, normal.
Typical shit.
Yeah. An obvious choice of Darren's girlfriend was to leave him.
I mean,
naturally,
I probably would too, right? Like,
At
he
this
can't help
point.
with the baby.
No.
He is worried about his rock band when she's in the hospital. He's done.
Right. Like, we can't help with bath time. We can't even worry about her when she's in the hospital. Like, we're over this. All right. Naturally, he meets a new girlfriend online and he moves to Michigan to be with her.
He's not still here, is he?
I don't know.
Okay.
Probably. I don't know.
Ugh.
So this new girl doesn't believe in spirits. Darren can't let that happen. He makes the executive decision to make her a believer. Apparently, the stores near her home don't carry Ouija boards. I'm not quite sure where in Michigan. I forgot to look that up, but I was...
Probably Holland. I imagine some of those places around me are not stocking the Ouija board. A little more conservative.
What does Darren do? He doesn't give up. He downloads one from online and he prints it out.
I guess it doesn't matter where you get it from.
No, I'm not quite sure what he used as a planchette, though. Unless you print that out, too. But it wouldn't move good. Whatever. Shocker, Z comes to play. He spells out cyberspace, which is very creepy because he, printed the Ouija board from, cyberspace.
What year was this?
2009.
Okay, so yeah, we're still really calling it cyberspace.
Well, also you're a demon. You can call it whatever you want, whenever you want.
Fair enough.
Okay, again, Darren's just an idiot. As he's trying to prove his obsession to his girlfriend, they're babysitting her 7-year-old niece and her friend.
Can we stop doing this when the kids are around?
I literally wrote, Darren, why the F are you involving children? Again. I know you moved away, but remember your daughter that almost died 3 times? Yeah, her.
We gotta talk to this man about non-consensual haunting.
Okay, so anyway, they're on the floor near a mirror while they're playing with this Ouija, and they're talking to Z, and the kids are in the room watching. So not only are we having the kids in the same vicinity, but they're actually in the room watching this. I also can't imagine these children going home and being like, Aunt so-and-so's new boyfriend let us partake in talking to a demon.
Oh yeah, they're definitely still talking about him at their dinners.
Maybe he doesn't live in Michigan anymore. Okay, so Z answers the question where he lived with skull necklace, which seems odd. So they asked again, and he says mirror.
Which one of them is wearing a skull necklace?
Well, so Darren's girlfriend's son had hung a skull necklace on the post of the bed and that they could see in the mirror. So they, in the mirror, they could look and they saw the skull necklace hanging on the post of the bed. It was a water bed if you wanted to know. And the eyes were glowing through and it was swinging back and forth.
I kind of have a little bit of chills.
Isn't that weird?
That's so weird.
It's very creepy. Why? I don't know. Ugh, yeah. Now we have screaming children and all of them run out of the house in Michigan in the middle of winter. Ignorant.
I think it's still a better alternative than hanging out with a demon.
Well, I just meant the whole thing's ignorant. Why did we do this?
I think we've established that case.
Now, Darren claims, to his dismay, his girlfriend drives 40 miles after this to purchase a real board that glows in the dark.
Hey, I bet it's the Milton Bradley.
So he says that he was against this, which somehow, Darren, I think you're a freaking liar.
I just, like, if the online one is working and you're freaking out and running outside of the house, why are you then going to buy another one?
I don't know. The next night, we have the children involved again, and of course, Z makes itself known. This time, they would write colors and shapes on a piece of paper, and then they wouldn't show each other, and, they wouldn't show the person that was controlling the planchette, and Z would guess them every time. One session, Darren asked to have the spirit show itself. They got a yes, so they turned off the lights, took a picture, and they got what was described as a skeleton with wings. And it looked like the same type of skeleton, like skull that was from that necklace. This is where we're dropping Darren off because I can't with him anymore. I don't give a shit what happens.
I cannot talk about this guy anymore.
Okay, so some other possible encounters involving Z, according to villains.fandom.com. In 1951, Roland Doe was a boy who got possessed by Z after using the Ouija board. He was eventually exorcised after a violent process by a priest. 1972, in Los Angeles, a mother named Doris Bilther used a Ouija board and found herself haunted by a dark entity which sought her and her family harm. In 1977 to 1979, in I think it's Enfield, England, a family got plagued by a malevolent force. In 2012, Tombstone, Nevada, a small group of off-duty soldiers decided to mess with a Ouija board. They made contact with a spirit that claimed to have died in Tombstone. On the drive back, one of them got possessed and almost killed the others in a car accident before the demon left and he regained consciousness. Can you imagine? You're just in a car and the driver becomes possessed.
That's in a movie.
Oh, well, then it's based off of that.
Yeah, it's like a demon exorcism movie. It was a really bad one, but I do remember that scene.
One of the very first notes of Z was in 1818 in a book called The Dictionnaire Infernal, which is about demonology, so I guess I'll put it on your Christmas list. This book brings to light a girl that was tormented by two demons 2 years earlier, one being named Zozo. All right, so we have the nature of Z mostly being described as nice at first, pretending to be loved by being loved ones, then transitioning into terror. It mimics the voices of your loved ones, preys on insecurities and fears. It's also noted that it likes to mess with psychics, trying to trick them. However, the who is unknown. People speculate that it may be an angel that was banned by God and now torments God's prized possessions, humans. Which, that's so creepy.
Let me ask you this then. Where does the name come from? Do we think that's its actual name? Is that something that's just, ascribed to itself?
Some think he's Pazuzu. So Pazuzu is the Babylonian demonic god, demon of the underworld. Also the lead villain in the 1972 film, The Exorcist.
Yeah.
And some think that it's just demons and spirits using Zozo as a front to trick and scare Ouija board users. So no one really knows. It's just that the first encounter was in 1816 when that girl was possessed and that she came out saying that two demons were possessing her, one named Zozo.
Maybe it's just a bunch of them. They just take turns being Zozo.
That's kind of what the one theory is that they think it's just a lot of people using that as a front to just scare people. Because it's become such a big thing that people are knowing that it's a Ouija board demon.
Especially once people start to expect that to come through and the notoriety grows, right? How else are you going to start to influence minds? You use people who have a celebrity status, or in this case, a demon that has a celebrity status.
Right. Or we've talked about in the past, it's like an egregore where it's just an entity that is almost made up by thoughts. So many people's thoughts. I don't necessarily know about that, though. I think it might either be one or multiple. All right, Zachary. If you find yourself so stupid to mess with a Ouija board, here are 6 signs you may be talking with Z, according to an article written by Chrissy Stockton on thoughtcatalog.com. Okay, are you ready?
I'm so ready.
The mood or temperature of the room may suddenly shift. Even if Z doesn't directly reveal himself, he may continue to point to the letter Z or even call himself Zaza.
I have heard that he kind of goes by different things that all
variations.
sound very similar. Yeah.
Once Zozo reveals himself, he will often spell his name over and over up to hundreds of times in a row. And that is like a lot of the accounts say that, like it would just go back and forth to Z and O over and over and over again, like frantically.
I feel like though, like whenever you're in like Ouija board or cases of possession, they repeat that name over and over. I wonder if that's somehow like a way to gain power.
Well, maybe.
Because if saying the name attracts it, right? If they're spelling it out, they're probably getting you to say it over and over again.
But isn't that kind of like when you're doing an exorcist, though? Aren't you trying to figure out the name of the demon so that you can exorcise them? So it's kind of weird that he wants you to know his name.
Yeah, I guess I'm not.
Right?
I'm not an exorcist. But yeah, I mean, there's a strong argument there.
Okay. Anyway, the Z and the O are located on opposite ends of the Ouija board's lower line. In order to spell the name, Zozo will often make the planchette in the shape of an infinity symbol. So by going back and forth, it makes like an infinity. I can't say that freaking word. Infinity symbol between the Z and the O. Thank you. Glass, especially mirrors, may break. Scratches may appear on the body of anyone in the residence, even if they are not practicing in playing with the Ouija board. Also, according to Chrissy, if you did talk to Z, you should immediately close out your Ouija board session by moving the planchette to goodbye. To be safe, no one involved should use a Ouija board again in the near future. If it is possible, it's also best to vacate the space for a few days to remove all energy of Z.
It's time to bust out the sage, open the windows, get the demons out. Literally get the demons out.
And you just need to leave. Goodbye. Don't come back. Burn it down. And that, my oddballs, is the horrifying truth of what a Ouija board might bring. However, if this inspired you to try and get in on the horror, you can purchase a Ouija board at your local Walmart, Party City, Barnes & Noble, and of course Amazon.
And if anything bad happens, we did not tell you where to buy that Ouija board.
No, but sponsor us. Walmart, Party City, Barnes & Noble, and Amazon.
Oh my gosh. You know what? Maybe if we talk to Zozo, he will help us get sponsored. We could sell our souls.
I don't know if he's a demon to sell your soul to, though. I don't know.
Well, hey, great job. I appreciate the knowledge of Z, whose name I've said, I think, twice fully now. And
it's okay. There was so many like tales and stories that I was starting to really creep myself out. That one took a really long time to write because I kept getting freaked out, to be completely honest. That's kind of why I focused on Darren's story and gave you like little tidbits, but I was like, couldn't do it.
Fair. Well, since we talked about our theme a little bit, we did actually decide on a theme of demons for this one. I brought you almost a similar story. It's a demon who specializes in nothing else but exorcisms. Or not exorcisms.
I was going to say a demon exorcises other demons?
No.
I like this.
That would be a really cool story. No, he specializes in possession. But yeah, so I have the story of Beelzebub. So, Beelzebub he is one of the 7 crowned princes of hell who sit basically right below Lucifer.
Can you imagine?
Well, and that's the thing. So when you first start reading about that, I wanted to dig into like, how did we figure that out? So we're going to start back in like the history of where we think he comes from, and then the story on how he became the 7th one of the 7 princes of hell. Are you ready?
I don't know if I actually knew that there were 7.
Yep.
Are there 7 additional to...
That's the thing, is like, depending on the timeline and who wrote about hell, it actually changes a lot. So you can actually pull up lists of the 7 princes and get different names.
So is Satan one of them, or Satan is above them?
Depends.
We don't know.
Yeah,
okay.
So on some of them that I looked at, he was listed as like number 1. On other ones, he's above them. So everyone really has their own interpretation of what's going on in the spirit and demonic world, which I think is really cool. From best guesses, Beelzebub has his origins in Philistine culture. He was the deity who protected the city of Ekron and was also a god of fertility at the time.
What?
So at this point, though, he's not a demon, right? This is just the origin of the name.
Okay. I gotta get that out of my brain. Okay.
So in Philistine culture, the protector of Ekron was Baal Zebub. So Baal at the time really just meant Lord. Zebub, they're not really sure what that means, but the best guess is high place. So he was lord of a high place. So not like, height high, but like high reverence.
Interesting.
So if you know anything about Christianity, you know that the Christians fought the Philistines way back. This is First Testament. This is like when God is still very angry, right? So the Christians obviously don't like fake gods. So they condemned Baal Zebub for being a fake god and, not a true deity. So they
Hold on 1 second. So I'm sorry. So it's supposed to be said how? Baals?
So Baal.
Baalzebub?
Zebub was the name of
Baalzebub.
this fake god of the Philistines.
Why do people say Beelzebub now?
We'll get there.
Okay, never mind. Bye.
Yeah. The Christians basically started to say that they were not really worshiping a real god. They were worshiping an agent of the devil. So early Christians thought that any of these other gods that different cultures were praising or believing in were actually just fallen angels and worked for Satan himself. So Baal-zebub starts to get entwined with Christianity at this time, and his name starts to change.
Oh.
So in the Bible, they start to call him Beelzebub, basically stuck the names together and, put their own cultural twist on it. He's mentioned a couple times in the Bible, but not like a very huge, demonic presence. He's more just a false god.
Okay.
In the 17th century, he starts to get more of like a pop culture demon-like description, right? So there is a gentleman who writes one of the first kind of hierarchies of demons, and he's the one who laid out the 7 princes, and I'm totally blanking on his name right now. I should have put in the notes, but forgive me on that. I think where they came up with the 7 princes of hell comes from the 7 deadly sins. So each one of them is associated with one of the 7 deadly sins. So in this list, they actually have Lucifer as the first prince of hell. So Lucifer is the kind of the manifestation of the sin pride. We have Asmodeus, who is associated with lust, Mammon, who is associated with greed, Leviathan with envy, Santinus with wrath, Belphegor with sloth, and finally our boy Beelzebub, who is associated with gluttony or habitual greed. Even though I saved him for last, he's actually ranked on this list as being the highest of the princes, right under Lucifer himself. So he's one of the most kind of feared and reviled demons. Basically say he's the advisor to the devil. Goes by even more names at this point.
But hold on, I'm sorry. Did we talk about how he got there? Like, I thought, so we were a fake god, but now we're potentially advisor to the devil?
So he's a fake god in the Old Testament, right? Early Christianity. So his stories get pulled into the Bible, and then over time, instead of just being a fake god, Christianity followers start to state that he is one of the 7 princes of hell. So it's kind of where, we don't know the true origin, but that's where the lore starts to line up, right? Where the name and everything comes from. Anyways, so he's got a few names. Beelzebub can mean Lord of the Flyers, demons that have wings, or others say that it actually stands for Lord of the Flies, even worse yet. So every demon has their own prerogative or set of skills, and Beelzebub's hobbies include causing destruction through tyrants on earth, convincing people to worship him as a false god, getting priests to give in to the temptation of lust, creating jealousy and greed between 2 different people and leading them to murder each other, instigating war, and long walks on the beach.
Stop. Was that for real?
No, I just threw that in there.
Oh, I was like, wow, because I can envision that. Like after a day of making everyone murder each other, like you just take a nice long walk on the beach.
His job sounds rather stressful, so he might just need that to unwind.
That's what I'm saying.
But his most notable of his, particular set of skills is that he is one of the demons who most often comes up in possessions. We're going to cover 2 of his more popular possessions. In the 17th century, a French inquisitor, which inquisitors were high-ranking Catholics who seek to eliminate heresy or people who are, preaching anything that's contrary to their doctrine of faith. So this French inquisitor, Sebastian Michaelis, begins to not only hunt down enemies of religion, he also starts practicing exorcisms regularly, which from what I could find, he's not really like professionally trained in this. He just kind of lumps it in with being an inquisitor.
Okay.
So he becomes involved in one of the first widely publicized cases of possession at the time. So year is 1610, and he responds to reports that a young nun has become possessed. Her name is Madeline. So Madeline claims that the father of her church sexually enchanted her, which 1610 didn't get a whole lot more description of what that means.
What the hell does that? I don't even understand.
But also opens her up to witchcraft, which allowed her body to become overtaken by demons. Now, remember earlier, not only does he like to possess people, but he also likes to make priests given to lust.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So I'm thinking there's probably a line to be drawn there. During the possession, many times she claimed through her own voice to be Beelzebub speaking through her, and stated that the only way to end the possession was to kill the priest who started it. So other nuns in the same nunnery start to become possessed and go into...
Is that what it's called?
I've seen that somewhere. I don't know if that's like the
I've never heard
right name, but I'm pretty sure that's right.
I'm not saying it's wrong.
I'm second guessing it now. Somebody will correct
No, I'm
us,
sorry.
Sure.
I'll Google it.
All right, so other nuns in the same area start to become possessed. They go into these trance-like stages, and the voice of many demons would start to come through them. They would speak their evil sermons and talk about the coming apocalypse.
Okay, Google says, a nunnery, a building or group of buildings in which nuns live as a religious community.
See, I knew that was right.
I didn't say you were wrong. I just never heard of it.
I just started second-guessing myself.
I'm sorry.
Okay, so more and more nuns are becoming possessed. They go back to Beelzebub's original, warning on how to end it, and they imprison the priest. He confessed that he had actually been taken by demons as well, and then was publicly burned to death.
I'm so sorry, but can you just envision a bunch of nuns being possessed? It's not funny, but it's really funny, because if you're a nun and you can be possessed, what's happening?
I feel like that's who they're going to go for, right? Those, turn the strongest Christian minds. But after he's burned to death, the possessions do stop.
Well, they did say that they had to get rid of him.
They did it, and, at least it worked.
Can you imagine if it didn't?
Remember, though, Beelzebub is also, while he likes to possess people, he also likes turning people against each other. So...
Oh, God.
You never know where, the lies stop and the truth starts, or...
Why do you think he's known for gluttony, then? Because he can't get enough of that?
A greed for violence, maybe?
Okay.
I don't know. So anyways, though, this is the first time Beelzebub had really been recorded coming up in a possession, right? So before this, he was just more of a...
Hearsay?
It's just stories people would tell, right? To almost scare the kids into behaving. So Sebastian Michaelis, he writes a report based on the numbers of demons he encountered at the nunnery, and claimed that the leader among them was Beelzebub, who has the penchant for the craft of possession. So that's kind of where this starts to come around. So that's where it's interesting to go from the origin of him being a god another culture worshipped, right? Then slowly being, for lack of better words, demonized by Christians, to now a step further, once you have the Bible and you have the name of this demon in here, now he's starting to come up in possession cases. I just think it's really interesting.
Yeah,
there's so many different stories on where exactly the origins of all of it lies. So it's something I could go down a rabbit hole forever, but then I'll just never sleep at night.
Exactly.
Many, many years later, so far more recent than the 1600s, 1928, in America is one of the most famous stories of Beelzebub possessing anybody. So this is going to be the quick story of Anna Eklund. So
that sounds really familiar.
Parts of her story and parts of another girl's story, whose name was also Anna, went to form The Exorcism of Emily Rose, basis in the movie The Exorcism. So a lot of The Exorcist, so your major possession movies have tie-ins from this girl's story. Anna Eklund, though, she is born to German immigrants. They were devout Catholics, and they lived in Wisconsin. Grows up pretty normal childhood. Super, super religious, though. But just, living her Midwestern life. At the age of 14, she starts to act a little bit strange. So the first...
Aren't we all strange at 14?
Yeah, but the first signs is that she becomes absolutely revolted by any holy objects. So crosses, holy water, walking into a church.
What do you mean by revolted?
Like she would recoil and then become extremely angry and violent.
Can I
So it's not
her?
just like, ew, a cross.
Okay.
It's like she's having a physical reaction to these things.
Okay.
She can't even go in a church at this point without becoming violently ill. And for a 14-year-old in 1928, she began to take part in unspeakable and intense sexual acts. I mean, now we're having a history of like behavior change that's more than just I turned 14 years old and I don't know how to deal with my hormones. Like, this happens quick.
I would say, why is Beelzebub like a sexual little predator?
Glutton, man. Her relationship with her family becomes really strained. She loses a lot of her friends because they're all very religious. So she falls into a really deep depression and becomes a loner.
Which is an easy target.
Now, people start to lay blame on her Aunt Mina.
Damn it, Mina.
So her aunt is her mom's sister.
Okay.
She's thought to be a witch. And she was also having an affair with Anna's dad.
Oh.
So the story goes is that she was actually putting spells on the food that Anna was consuming to try to get rid of her.
Why? Because she's the only link holding the family together, or what?
Because Aunt Mina is sleeping with her dad.
Right, so that's what I mean. Like, is she trying to kill the child so that it's easier for him to leave her sister?
I think she just wants the dad all to herself.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's really messed up.
It's really messed up, too, for how long this goes on. So, at the age of 30, still suffering all these things and becoming even more weird and pulled away from...
Wait. I'm sorry. Is she still putting stuff in her food?
That's never confirmed.
Okay,
it's just
I thought
suspicion.
you meant...
No.
Okay. I thought you meant, like, now she's 30 and she's still being poisoned by Aunt Mina.
No, but she's gone from starting to show signs of possession at age 14 and at age 30, 16 years later, when her behavior has only gotten worse, she has her first exorcism. Goes pretty well, fairly standard textbook exorcism.
As well as an exorcism can.
And she returns to normal behavior and is deemed to be free of demonic possession, which, if this started so young, how do you even know what normal behavior is? Beats me.
Do you know what led them to finally exorcise her?
She actually sucked out a priest herself.
Sucked out?
Is that not seeked out? Looked for. She looked for.
Continue on.
Get it together, Kara. Okay, so after her father passes, she starts to act very strange again, claiming she is being tormented by the spirits of her dead father and aunt, so Aunt Mina is also passed at this time.
Oh.
She goes back to the same priest, and he wants to, of course, perform another exorcism. This time, he wants to do it not at the church or her home, he wants to do it in secret.
Why?
I kind of get the idea that priests at this time would do like 1 or 2 exorcisms to prove they could do it right, but maybe didn't believe fully what they were selling. And I think this guy's starting to be like, okay, there's something weirder going on here.
Well, that's kind of what I was going to ask is like, why does it have to be in secret? Like, are we not believing what we're doing? Are we like taking advantage of her? Do you have to pay to get exorcised?
I mean, it is the Catholic Church. They're probably going to get there somewhere. Yep.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, basically, she has another exorcism. This time it's, in a little more secret. I guess it's a little more intense than the first one, but once again, she's deemed to be free of demons. At the age of 40...
Oh, God.
The hauntings of her father and aunt start back up again. It's to the point where now she's hallucinating and seeing things all over the place telling her she's damned or seeing demon heads or she's just really starting to lose it.
Do we know why? I mean, it might not actually be her dad haunting her, but what is the reasoning behind that? I mean, her aunt's a witch and was trying to kill her essentially, but why dad? Do we know?
I feel like in her mind, at least, dad had a part in this because he was having an affair with her, right? So he was...
That makes sense.
He wasn't like, oh no, Aunt Mina, stop it. He was fully on board. He's kind of a piece of shit.
Well, yeah.
So anyway, she goes back to the same priest. Over the course of an entire year, there are 3 long, drawn-out, intense exorcisms. So the first one happens August 17th, 1928. At this point, she is 40 years old. During this exorcism, Anna was reported to be howling, acting like a dog, crawling across the walls, and at times floating out of her own bed.
The walls?
Yes.
Ew. Ew.
They don't get great results on this one. So they give her some time to recover, right? Because they're pretty intense sessions. And at this time, she's not really eating that much food. She's not obviously taking good care of herself.
Well, and
the possession has taken over.
Yeah, and it supposedly it really wears on your body, too, to get exercised. So can you imagine you're possessed already, and then
So a month later, September 20th, we do round 2. In this one, she begins to vomit endlessly, scream for hours on end, hiss like a cat, defecate in her bed, and suffered all sorts of physical distortions. So her limbs and extremities are bending in ways that they just should not be. Like, she is in complete pain. So this is where the being revolted by holy objects comes back in. So at this point, the priest is like, I need to prove that she is not insane or making any of this up. So he has 2 vials, one with holy water, one with regular water.
Smart.
When he administers the regular water, doesn't get a reaction. When he administers the holy water, the places on her skin where it hits start to sizzle and burn.
I was going to say, do they bubble? Ew.
Yep.
Oh my God. Do you know how long these would go on for? These sessions?
The first one was hours. The second one was about a day. The third one, number 3, this one starts on December 15th and goes through December 23rd. It takes 8 days. So he comes prepped with a crew. He's got nuns to help. He's got backup. He's like, we are getting these demons out.
So they basically take turns. They don't stop for 8 days?
It is 8 days of basically straight exorcism.
Ugh.
My thought up until this point, right, is I don't feel like she ever truly got rid of them. I feel like they almost just went dormant, right?
Dormant.
So after 8 days, or during the 8 days, excuse me, she begins to speak in multiple languages, where the only languages she knew was English and bits of German. She is speaking multiple languages fluently.
Which is common of a possession.
She becomes so violent that at all times she needs to be restrained. On the 7th day, they finally, like we talked about earlier, elicit the name. So she starts chanting Beelzebub, Judas Iscariot, which Judas is who betrayed Jesus, Jacob, Mina, and her father's name. Over and over and over again, she would chant these names. At points, Beelzebub would come through saying that their mission was to drive Anna to suicide. Which is why I'm like, they're playing the long game here. They're never actually going away. They're just tearing her down.
Ugh.
So before the exorcism was completed, she starts to, in a shrill voice, just chant the word hell over and over and over again.
Ugh, I hate this.
The saddest part is that at points, her own voice would break through and she would begin to try to praise Jesus or call on the Lord. And it's got to be heartbreaking for the people
so
watching
heartbreaking.
That, right? Because at one point you're facing a literal demon. But on the other hand, you still have that person in front of you and their own essence is showing through, which is probably why he was so gung-ho at trying to save her.
Exactly.
We do have a happy ending. On the 8th and final day, the exorcism was deemed to be successful, with multiple nuns being injured or traumatized throughout the whole event.
Okay, trauma, I understand. What happened? Do you know, what happened to them? Probably just punched and kicked.
Yeah, all that, the distortions, her fighting the restraints, it was, she was extremely violent. But on the 8th day, they managed to exorcise all the demons. They did not finish their job of driving her to suicide, and Anna lives 12 more years.
Okay.
But at least those last 12 years were fairly normal and not, fighting with her demons anymore.
Do we think that they actually went away?
I mean, they said that she acted pretty normally for the rest of her life. She died while young, pretty normal causes. So I do believe, 8 days of exorcism and you got the names, feels to me like they won.
That is horrifying.
So that's just 2 stories of his possessions, but there's tons more. Like I said, there's hundreds, and a lot of the time as well, like you said earlier, there's multiple names that come out. His is one that comes up over and over in these situations. I
wonder if it's just like over the years, I feel like now it's Beelzebub is what people say nowadays.
Right.
So I wonder if that's just...
And throughout my research, I actually see it a lot of times. There's Beelzebub and Beelzebub. It's almost always intermixed. So here's kind of an interesting theory, though, right? Is because you don't see many cases of possession happening like day to day, right? And I feel like if they would, they'd be all over the news. They'd probably be all over YouTube. So one of the theories, though, is that Beelzebub has moved into influencing people through pop culture.
Okay, stop right now. I was just going to say, I'm pretty sure Kanye West is under the influence of a demon.
Very well could be. So they, like, obviously he's been the influence behind movies like The Exorcism of Emily Rose, The Exorcist, and various other ones, right? So now he's getting to the minds of people who are consuming him through media.
Mm-hmm.
Not so much current day pop culture, but during the Salem witch trials, a lot of people believe that he was the one who was actually possessing women and making them appear as witches.
Oh, really?
Because a lot of them would talk about Beelzebub. And that he would then, he likes to pit people against each other, turn the minds of those in power to arrest and kill them for his entertainment.
Oh my God, that makes sense.
So they think he's become a little more covert, like pulling strings behind the scenes, right? So other places we see him in media. Bohemian Rhapsody, Freddie Mercury literally states, Beelzebub has the devil put aside for me.
Uh-huh.
The book, The Lord of the Flies. The Lord of the Flies is I don't know if you ever read it, but it's a bunch of kids. They live on an island. They get stranded there, right? They start to make up their own rules, their own culture. They start to pray to, or like their island mascot is a boar that they hunted, cut off its head, and put on a stake. And now it's Lord of the Flies because the flies are starting to devour the flesh.
Should I read this?
No, it's really terrible otherwise.
Yeah, I don't think I want to.
In Tenacious D and the Pick of Destiny, he has a cameo as Beelzebub. And there's a comic series and other movies that center around Beelzebub and his treacherous ways. So some people believe that instead of affecting one body at a time through possession or just, a couple people in one designated area, he's almost using the celebrity status to get into
multiple
revenues of media to start to corrupt like the minds of people who watch the horror movie, read the books, enjoy the occult, and pull further and further people away from God and religion to, maybe not like a demonic lifestyle, but just an ungodly lifestyle.
Well, I think Kanye West is some things possessing him, but he claims to be pretty religious, so.
And he strikes me as being pretty gluttonous.
Right. So maybe it is Beelzebub possessing him to pretend like he's still religious, but he's getting people. He's 100%.
So kind of like where we were talking about with Z, right, is do we think he is one entity that is this fallen angel and serves Lucifer? Or is it an evil presence that's already out there and taken on the identity of Beelzebub? Because you have to think, if we go back and think about the pop culture piece and go back to the beginning, origin is a fake god, media icon for back in the day, right? Starts to become in the Bible. He's mentioned in the Old Testament as a fallen angel, but not somebody who possesses. But the way it's changed through time, it's almost always through some form of media.
Here's what I think. Anytime you have any sort of what's the word? Is it notoriety or anytime you're somebody, you're going to have followers. You're going to have little things, little minions under you. So I kind of think with Zozo and Beelzebub, they are who they are, but they also have a ton of minions that also do their work as well.
Well, I mean, the phrase "I am Legion" came from like a demonic background, right? So the theory of that is like they are all one and one are all.
Right. That's what I mean.
the research you can get into just about demonology is so interesting. But I think the coolest thing is that depending on where you look at the research and what time frame in history and who's telling it, you get just vastly different stuff. So
yeah,
even though it's been around for thousands of years, we talk about demons, nobody understands
really
what
knows.
we're dealing with, which is why you have to be careful.
But no, yeah, I definitely think that they're calling the shots, but they definitely have an army of little demons working for them. But that is really crazy, because before you even said that, I was thinking like Kanye West and like the pop culture thing, and then you said that and I almost peed my pants because I was like, holy crap.
Well, I mean, if you look at the way the world is now with everything being so connected, right? Like, just look at it from an efficiency standpoint. Why are we going to go for one possession at a time?
No, that doesn't make sense.
We can go for the masses all at once, and how do you most easily get to them? You make it seem so pop culture, so normal, where this, I mean, very much counterculture in the early 1900s.
Let's be clear, Kanye West is not normal.
Well, yeah, no, nobody's arguing at that point. He might be the eighth prince of hell, in all honesty.
I don't know what happened, but my social media was blowing up today about Kanye, but I didn't want to look into it. So he did something else. Something happened.
You've obviously got him on the brain.
Oh, well, that's because it kept popping up like, oh my God. And I was like, whatever. But I also do think he's possessed. That was wild.
Yeah, I wish we had something kind of light to end it out for you guys after we've just talked about demons for an hour, but thank you for sticking around.
We could, do we have anything light? What do we have light? What can we?
It's been a stressful week. I don't have anything real light going on right now. It's like Halloween. I mean,
I'm like looking around, like, what is light? Zachary, what are you going to be for Halloween?
I am going as none other than Cosmo from the Fairly Odd Parents. Nick is going to be Wanda. So we've handmade our costumes. They're going to look absolutely terrible because neither of us are good at arts and crafts.
You literally ordered wings, and what did you have to art and craft?
We made the crowns and the wands from scratch. Thank you very much.
What did you cut? Felt?
It was actually foam board. Anyways, all right.
Are you hearing this?
Hey, we're doing light. You're supposed to be nice right now.
Okay.
Okay, what are you being for Halloween?
Wow. You wouldn't know because you haven't seen my favorite movie, but my favorite movie is the original Scream. Okay. So I am being Tatum Riley. She's the wonderful best friend that unfortunately dies trying to escape through the doggy door of the garage door. And she gets, I don't want to say sucked up, but the door goes up. She gets crushed and thank you.
Words are tough today, man.
I know everything's hard. Like you said, it's been a rough week. Hopefully everyone else had a better week.
Right? Well, hey, let's throw some pictures of our costumes up on socials if you guys want to share
do we
pictures
have
of
to?
your costumes. Hey, if we're going to ask people to send in pictures, we're going to have to post some of ours.
I wasn't going to ask, you did.
I asked. I put myself out there. Anyways, if you do want to submit some stuff or just check out any of our social media, our link tree is in the comments below the show notes.
No, but what you should easy
for you to say.
Submit. What you should submit is what you want to hear from us, because we're having a hard time. We have a list of topics that we want to talk about, and then we get so excited, and then we start researching it, and then we get excited about another one, and then we start researching that, and then we can't finish. And it's...
Yeah, give us your ideas.
Yes. What would you like to hear?
Let us rant at you for an hour about enter topic here. All right. I think that about does it. So thank you for everyone who stuck around. Have a super spooky Halloween and
creep it real, ya oddballs.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Oddity Shop.